Good evening, folks. This is David Cunningham from CounterOps, and it is Tuesday, March 17th. And this is just a quick update on the whole coronavirus situation, which most of the rest of the country is pretty familiar with now, as far as the fact that it's happening and that is actually unfolding in our lives here in the United States. I'm sure several states and local governments and municipalities that have taken measures to try to reduce the spread of this infection, keep people from getting sick. Now, I understand all of that, but this is just going to kind of be short and sweet. I've got some notes right on the screen in front of me. Just really something to think about. Here in Ohio and in several other states and localities, bars and restaurants and the schools are closed. A lot of businesses are shut down, or they're having people work from home. I know here in Ohio, there's not exactly a travel ban, but they're discouraging people from getting together and in large groups. At first it was 100, and then it went down to 50. Now it's saying no more than groups of 10. From what I understand, President Trump and the administration is considering a state-to-state travel ban. I think that would be a very bad idea. In fact, I got the number to the White House switchboard. I meant to get a chance to call today, just leave a message. I think all Americans really should do that, because if there's a state-to-state travel ban, there are people who aren't going to be able to get to their loved ones or check on parents. I got a friend who lives in California. Her parents are way out in Rhode Island, so that would create a logistical nightmare. But the first thing I want to say is I respect everybody's work as far as investigating and researching, everything about what's going on from all these different angles. Especially, work from like Mike Adams, Dr. Francis Boyle, Steve Pachinik, Tucker Carlson, Professor Anthony Hall, Alex Jones, the whole InfoWars crew, especially the initiatives that President Trump is almost forced to make. It's kind of a double-edged sword. Even what Governor DeWine has had to do here in Toledo. Reports from the Hoff brothers, one of them works for the Gateway Pundit, Bill Still, and many others. Every life we save is important. And, my hope is that people know the Lord, and nobody's going to die without knowing the Lord. I'm not here to preach a sermon. I'm not authorized to do that. I'm not going to do that. But it's important that everybody pray. Pray for your loved ones. But here is the big enchilada. The virus was developed as a bioweapon. That's been confirmed. There's a lot of evidence pointing to the fact that it came out of a BSL-4 lab in China, in Wuhan. But if the numbers we're getting are correct, and if this Johns Hopkins website that is used to track these numbers is correct, then 81,000 plus people in China were infected, or at least contracted or came in contact with the virus. 3,122. So, like 3,100 people died from the virus, according to China's numbers. That's like 3.8% dead. Worldwide, 197,000 or so cases, almost 8,000 people dead, 7,916. Those numbers are still around 4%. So 3 or 4%, which is kind of what's been reported. So that means 4 in 100 people end up dying. And like I said, every life we can save is important. I'm not trivializing that. And so there's definitely great concern. But if we look at the bigger picture of all the cases in China, it's 81,000 plus. There's 1.3 billion people in China. That means less than 0.005% of the population of China got exposed. So if you look at economies of scale, if those numbers hold true, and depending on how it spreads through a country, and I know the measures have been put in place to help reduce the spread. So it might not end up being a lot of people who come in contact with this virus as it continues to unfold. But really, here's the thing to look at. according to that map from Johns Hopkins, and if they're reporting accurately, Russia only has 114 infections listed, and they've got a population of 146 million. So really, here's the big question. How is Russia, if they're being honest about the numbers, and then I might trust Russia's numbers a little bit more, maybe a little bit less than China, but everybody seems to be in love with China. But if Russia only has 114 infections, and they've got 146 million people, how has Russia, which is not as draconian as China, how is Russia, which is right next door to China, able to keep the number of infections so low? And, what are they doing? So, those are some of the questions to think about. I know we're doing everything we can to reduce the spread, and just keep praying, keep preparing. I'm signing off.